Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the new project, the restoration of the Grundig Party-Boy. So in the last video I mainly did a lot of cleaning. I got the tuning mechanism unstuck and I also restored the power transformer. And in the meantime I've made a bit of progress, small progress. I just changed the 5 capacitors that I wanted to change. So you have these 3 capacitors over here, and then you have a smaller one over there and an even smaller one over there. So I changed those out. Here, these are the originals. Now, I have to say, the originals, when I measured them, they were quite out of spec. So these are all the 5 caps I swapped out, and I measured each of them, and then you see that they are all quite significantly out of spec. One here, the 100 microfarad, is even 60% out of spec. So yeah, you see, it's worth it to swap them out anyway. I think it's always a good idea to swap them out, but these even, I mean, they are from 1970, so they are 50-year-old electrolytics. Just swap them out. They are going to be out of spec all anyway. Now, one weird thing is the small one over there, that on the schematic, it's marked as a 5 microfarad capacitor. And the one which was in there was 6.4. So I have no idea if this is an original one or not. Because yeah, it's not completely matching the value from the schematic. So I swapped it out with a 4.7 because I assume that the schematic is going to be reliable. Maybe this has already been swapped out in the past. No clue. I swapped it with a 4.7. And if I measure this one, it's a 7. It's measuring 7.5. So yeah, it's quite out of spec anyway. What was cool about this one is I didn't have a 4.7 laying around anymore, so I had to go to my local electronics shop, and they still had one 4.7 axial electrolytic capacitor in stock. So my local electronics shop, they stopped doing axials quite a while ago. They only sell radial caps anymore. Well, and for the axial caps, they just clear out their stock and they don't buy them in anymore. So if you're lucky, then you can still have an axial one. If the stock runs out, they will only sell you radial caps. So they still had just one 4.7 microfarad axial cap in stock, so I bought that one. And yeah, it's quite convenient because there is not a lot of room if you need to put a speaker here. So it's nice that I have an axial for here, and it looks extremely original, this one. It's a Philips cap, by the way, so I think it's quite nice, quite an original touch anyway. So I swapped out the caps and I tested the radio, and it's working perfectly fine still, so I didn't break anything. So that's already good. The next thing I'm gonna do is I am going to start following the alignment procedures. So if you take a look at the alignment procedures here, first of all, they are completely in German, except for the top part here. There you have the alignment both in German and in English. So here we can actually read the English text, which is convenient. So what do they tell you to do? So first of all, this part here is first of all, they explain you how to dismantle the radio. And this here, the DC alignment is basically biasing the amplifier. So you have the transistors in the amplifier, and this is an explanation on how to bias them. And here you have the IF alignment for FM, the IF alignment for AM, and then you have here the RF alignment for AM, and then you have the RF alignment for FM. So we're just going to start at the top, And in this video, I'm gonna do the biasing of the amplifier. So the first thing they tell you to do is connect a milliamp meter. So that's just your multimeter, but for measuring current, between the collector of transistor AC 188K and the minus, and adjust the quiescent current with R45. So R45 is a potentiometer which you can use to adjust the quiescent current of the transistor, right? And you should obtain 8.5 milliamps. Okay, now how do you do this and where do you do this? And it's actually very nicely explained or shown in the diagram as well, in the schematic as well. So if you look here, so what should we do? We should connect your current meter between the collector of AC 188K and the minus. So AC 188K is this transistor over here, this one. So you should measure the current between the collector, so this is the collector, and the minus. So the minus is the minus of the battery. So if you follow here the minus of the battery, it goes like this through the on-off switch to this point over here. So basically you should measure the current between this point and this point. So basically the current flowing over this connection here. And actually, if you look closely, it's actually written on the diagram. So you see 8.5 milliamps is what they are saying that you should measure in the alignment instructions. Is basically, it's just written here. So, and they also say at 7.5 volts. And that's a general remark here that they say it on the diagram here as well somewhere. See, all voltages are measured at battery voltage 7.5. So this means that you should supply not 9 volts, but you should supply 7.5 volts to the radio, and then all the markings of voltages and currents here should apply. And you see here this bridge, which is named X. I'm going to show you where it is actually located on the PCB. But the point is that it's made in such a way that you can desolder this, you can break this connection basically, and then you can put your multimeter in series here. So the point is now, how do you find this point X? Well, it should be marked also here on this diagram. So remember, this is the diagram of the PCB shown from the bottom. So let's first search for the AC 180K 8K. So that's this transistor over here. And here you see, here is the X. And it's even, the bridge is even marked here on the drawing as well. And it's also marked here, the 8.5 milliamps at 7.5 volts. So you see it's, these schematics, the diagrams, they are really well done. So you basically cannot miss. So now let's find this point X here on the radio itself. So it's between the two output transistors. You have this bridge here, which should be soldered and which we can break, and to which I will connect a lead on both sides so I can put my multimeter in between. So if I take a look at the radio, so that both output transistors are over there. So, and then if we put these things here next to each other, it's not that convenient, but okay, let's do it like this. Then you can clearly see here that these three solder points are the connections for this transistor, and those three are the connections for that transistor. So that means that the bridge here, the X, is that solder blob over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to desolder that, break the connection, and solder a lead to each of the ends here. Okay, so what did I do here? I hooked up the radio to 7.5 volts, so I put my power supply on 7.5 volts, hooked up the power supply to the battery connector here. I hooked up the external speaker to the speaker of the which I have here on my desk, and I connected the multimeter to the points that that I just soldered, to the two leads that I just soldered here on the PCB. And the radio is on, but I put it on pickup input. And what you can see here now is the quiescent current of the output stage. Now, what is the quiescent current? Well, that's basically the current that your amplifier is pulling when there is no input signal to the amplifier. So if you put it on pickup input, for example, like I have it here right now, and you don't put any signal, then the amplifier is basically amplifying nothing, but it still is passing a constant current. That's the quiescent current. You see, if I would put the radio on FM, then and I put up, see, then of course the current going through the amplifier is depending on how much volume it needs to produce, right? So if you turn up the volume, yeah, then you see that the current is going up. So if you want to know the quiescent current, you can just put the volume all the way down, or you can switch to the pickup input like I did and not provide any signal. See, now I can put up the volume and there is basically nothing being amplified, right? Because there is no input signal. Now, remember what I said, and what the manual also said was it should be 8.5, right? Should be 8.5 milliamps, and I have here 0.5 milliamps. So this means that the amplifier is not particularly well biased, right? So according to the alignment instructions, you can adjust the quiescent current with the resistor or potentiometer R45, and that's that big one over there. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to adjust that potentiometer until I get 8.5 milliamps on my multimeter. Now I'm not sure how good this is gonna go because this potentiometer might be a bit oxidized. If I remember how well oxidized the volume control was and all the connections over here, could be that we run into some issues and that I first need to deoxidize the potentiometer, but let's try it anyway. So let's see what happens here. No, that's not, that was me turning the volume, not the, okay, this is down. I cannot turn it in that direction. Ah, no, it's going up. See, it's iffy. I can only turn it in one direction, and then the value is going down. Ah, now it's going up again. I think, yeah, somebody messed with this probably. Yeah, somebody clearly messed with this. Because well, there is like a seal over here. Let me, I can show you. See, I didn't touch it yet. So you see, there is a seal over there. And well, this red paint is to indicate what the original position was. And you can see that it's clearly not lining up anymore. So somebody clearly messed with this. And it's all the way, it was set like this. So it was all the way nearly to the minimum, which is not how it should be. So I guess I should turn it quite significantly to the right, because then, yeah, see, that was the original position, right? So let's do this. 8.5, right? I'm almost at the original position here of when I'm looking at the paint here. Oh, I'm already past the 8.5. See, and here it's getting flaky. Oh, it's really flaky. Oh, it's jumping very quickly here. Whoa. Yeah, this is very, very sensitive. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to... Wait, let me first turn off the radio. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to deoxidize the this potentiometer, and I'm gonna twist it quite a few times, and I'm gonna put it back to the minimum, and then we're going to do this exercise again. Okay, so here we go again. I deoxidized, I think. Well, at least I tried to deoxidize the potentiometer. So let's see what this gives now. Volume is still closed or on low. Okay, it's going up. That's good. Still very sensitive, but at least it's not jumping up and down again anymore when I am only moving the potentiometer upwards. Okay, it seems to be a lot better than before, yeah. Okay. Still very sensitive, but at least I can adjust it better now. So that's 8 milliamps, 8.3. That's too much. Yeah, my cell phone is now being picked up in the amplifier, which of course causes a sound, which of course causes current. So that means that your reading of your quiescent current is not correct anymore. But 8.6 is already pretty close, right? Okay, well, look at that. I didn't adjust anything. I just put my phone in flight mode to make sure that there wasn't any sound being amplified anymore. And look at this. Okay, it's dropping slowly but that's probably because the amplifier is heating up. So I'm just going to leave it run for a while, and let's say for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or so. Then adjust if needed. I'll check again, and I'll adjust it again a bit. Okay, so what I noticed is it's constantly fluctuating, let's say between 8.5, sorry, 8.1. It's going as low as 8.15, going as high as 8.6, 8.7. So I think I'm going to leave it at this. It's pretty close. And if you look now to the position of the potentiometer, then see, it's nearly exactly what it should have been from the factory, because the paint is now matching again where it was. So somebody clearly messed with this. But well, now it should work fine. Eh? So if I turn up, I put the radio on FM again. See, it's working pretty well, and I maybe it's placebo effect of having adjusted this, but I think I notice less distortion in the sound. So I think it's okay, right? Like it is right now. It could maybe be a bit higher, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I think see it like going to 8 and see it going. So I'm going to put it up slightly higher. See, this is already too much. I mean, it's so sensitive. I'm gonna leave it at this. Yeah. Yeah, see, it's perfect. I turned down the volume and it's dropping to 8.51 basically. It's perfect. I'm gonna leave it at this. So I resoldered the bridge on the PCB. So now let's do the second step in the alignment procedure. And here they say the second step is adjustment of the IF amplifier. So the description reads, adjust the collector current of transistor BF184-3 with resistor R22 to obtain at the emitter resistor R24 a voltage of plus 1.4 volts. So resistor R24 is over here, right? And it also shows here the 1.4 volts. So we have to measure here across resistor R24, and the potentiometer to adjust here is R22. So I set this up. So this here is R24, and this potentiometer is R22. So I put the power supply again on 7.5 volts. So I'm gonna enable the power supply, see what we get here across this resistor, and then adjust this potentiometer so that we get 1.4 volts across that resistor. Now let's see what we get here. It's still slightly increasing, but that's already very close. So that's pretty good, right? And the radio, I have the radio on pickup now. I can put it on FM. Let's see. My volume is all the way down, right? Yeah. See, but that doesn't, of course, the volume and on which input you have it doesn't really make a difference because we are now in the IF amplifier and this is active anyway, regardless of what your amplifier is doing. See? So we are at more or less 1.35, which is already pretty close. But let's see if we can get it even closer. Whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't even touch it. I mean, okay. Now this is really difficult. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty good. I'm gonna leave it at that, I think. Okay, slight correction. I think I made a small mistake. I aligned the current with the radio on FM and tuned to a station, and then the current is a bit lower. So see, now I put it on AM and just outside the station, and then it goes to 147, 148. So I'm gonna drop it down here a bit until it reaches 140. Wow, that's dead on. See, but if you then tune it to a station or something which is more yeah, tuned, then the current flow drops. So if I put it on FM, see, it drops, right? So I now tuned it in such a way that when it's on AM and outside the station that it's 1.4. See, it also says here on the schematic that it should be 1.4 on AM and 1.38 on FM. So if I am outside the station on FM, yeah, there are so many FM stations that it's not easy to go to bad reception. Maybe if I put it all the way up. Yeah, see, then it goes to 1.36 instead of 1.38. It's close enough. I'm gonna leave it at this. So I successfully finished the DC alignment, just as explained in the manual, so that's pretty great. And I think that's also enough for this video. But before we go, I would just like to give you a short update on the cabinet, which I have here. And it's actually looking pretty okay. So obviously we have this dent here, which I'm never gonna be able to fix. But the speaker grill itself is quite okay. We have some minor scuffs here and there, but compared to how it looked, well, I think it's a lot better than it was, right? It's very acceptable. Here, this metal strip, I haven't replaced it yet. I still need to find some replacement for that. Don't think it will be an issue, but I haven't taken the time yet to work on that. And the handles, I cleaned both of them and I removed the rust here on both sides, see, on the other side as well. And that's also actually looking pretty nice. So the cabinet is basically in acceptable shape. So yeah, I like where this is going, honestly. Now what I am now still thinking about is, am I going to do the alignment at all, because the radio is working quite well. Am I going to go through the trouble to do really the FM and the AM alignments? I'm gonna think about it, and well, I guess you'll know in the next video, right? So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content of my channel, just don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. So bye bye.